button, anything. Okay, we're
live.
We're go. Thunderbirds are go.
Man, I missed that. Focus. Hello and welcome to Basements, Faults, and Catapults. I'm one of your hosts, Saren.
And I'm Trevor.
And here we're going to be looking at game genres and the things that we enjoy in gaming.
And to do that, we're going to randomly select a genre each episode.
Yeah, we're going to be giving you a brief rundown of that genre.
And then select 2 games. One of those games will be something we want to catapult into glory.
Sprung.
While the other will be cast into the fault lines riddling our basement lair. The catch and what we hope will be the fun part is that neither of us will have played, or at least played heavily, the titles the other has selected.
Yeah, so we're taking those titles, the best, the worst. We'll divide them up. One of us gets to play the good one. One of us gets to play the bad one. We're going to give it an hour of playtime. We're going to meet back up and we'll chat about our experiences.
That's when we're going to share our opinions of the games we've played, celebrate where we agree, and refrain from murdering each other when we disagree. After all, not everyone can have a perfect opinion, Aaron.
Hey, that's right. And that is the whole premise of the game. We hope that you'll join us, listen in, and, maybe be inspired to try a few titles along the way, or, hey, you can tell us exactly why our opinions are trash.
And where to stick it. Thank you for joining us. And remember, so long and thanks for all the fish.
So long, so long, so long, so long, so long.
That's a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I mean, yeah, if you don't
know, you don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. But also more importantly, if you don't know, you're also not listening to our podcast. Let's be fair here.
Yeah, and the reason why that is our mention today
is
episode number 42.
42.
It is the answer to the biggest question in the universe.
To the universe, to life, and everything.
Yeah, the universe, to life, and everything. Yeah, and it's 42. We don't know what the question is, though. We haven't figured that out yet.
Now, here's another question. In lieu of that, should we just enter 42 into the magic random number generator instead of rolling the dice? All right.
I'm sold. Let's do it.
So normally we roll dice, and we use that number to determine what our the amount of times the genre selector will roll. But today is 42.
So I did add oldest wish list game to our genre.
I saw that. We should also add immersive sim to that.
Immersive sim. What kind of game would you say falls under an immersive sim?
That would be like your Deus Exes, your System Shocks.
Okay. I like it. So
your BioShock.
You want to put 42 into the system.
I'm saying, look, it's a special day.
This could be cursed.
Hit the button. We'll find out.
So the meaning of the universe, life, and everything
is...
Oh no. We can't do that today.
We can't do that today.
What's
the other one?
One more roll. All right, so for today's episode...
God damn it.
This is going to be a very special episode because today...
Gosh darn it.
Aaron is going to be playing VR.
I am going to be playing VR, Trevor. So I guess we're going to take 5 seconds so you can set up the cameras and everything.
You know how hilarious it is for us to be able to talk about playing VR in our pre-banter and then immediately roll VR.
Yeah, in our pre-banter, we were discussing our experiences with VR or the lack thereof.
Yes.
All right, well, let's get this party started then, shall we?
All right, so virtual reality gaming. Have you, what's been your experience with VR, whether it's in, some places have VR?
I've played a little bit with the PlayStation VR.
Okay, cool.
Back on the PS4 era.
Okay.
And even then, it wasn't that intense. It was more like a Metroid-ish game.
Okay.
And I wasn't in the Metroid box. I was more like the camera following the Metroid person.
Okay.
So.
Have you tried Beat Saber?
No, but I've seen plenty of clips.
Okay, so instead of I'm gonna take a little bit of creative control of today's episode, if I may.
It's all you. I do remember. I used to work at the mall, and for those of you who are within our region, you know what the mall is. But I used to work at the mall, and the Microsoft store there always had Beat Saber as their VR sort of demo.
Yeah, Beat Saber is probably one of the best examples of virtual reality games that are a good entry level into the genre. Plus, they're a lot of fun, right? So what I want to do today is introduce you to Beat Saber.
Okay.
for like 10 minutes, just as a starter, as a sample platter.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then I want to introduce you to
Half-Life
Alyx.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
sounds
so
fun.
Beat Saber, for sure, you won't get motion sickness. It is a very safe game from a motion sickness perspective because you're just standing on its spot.
Yeah, and everything's coming towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half-Life Alyx, on the other hand, a little more challenging. Half-Life Alyx is where you have to move around in the space.
Yeah.
And so that is where you can get some motion sickness because if your head and movement is not perfectly synchronized,
you get that.
Your brain thinks you've been poisoned.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're experiencing visual motion without physically experiencing motion, that's when motion sickness tends to happen. Your body feels like it's been poisoned, and it will go into poison removal mode, which makes you want to, get ill. Yeah. And so it's why something like six out of 10 people, somewhere in that range, do get motion sickness, especially in VR.
Until they get sort of used to it.
Yeah, you get your VR legs and you're pretty good. But even for me, I could have my VR legs and play, for example, I can get VR chat and do that for like an hour or two and not get sick. And there's a lot of motion involved in that when you're walking around and being silly. But games like Half-Life Alyx or games where like a fighter jet simulator, where you're experiencing a lot of motion, but you're not moving.
And fast motion.
I still can't do that today.
Wow.
That will make me instantly dizzy and almost instantly sick. So we're going to try really, really hard not to make you ill today.
That's okay. I got the bucket.
We got the popcorn bucket.
I got the bucket.
Yeah, we got popcorn bucket, which were our snacks. So yeah.
Pre-banter.
So what we'll do is, I think what we'll do is we'll pause.
Okay, pausing.
I'm going to get set up so I can do some recording and record the gameplay.
Okay.
And maybe some external video of you walking around looking like a fool. And I we'll only use what you want to use. And then hopefully we can publish that on YouTube.
Put it all up.
Yeah,
I have nothing to hide.
I love it. I if I had more time, Aaron, I would set up a green screen for Beat Saber where I can actually visually show you inside the game. That's something I could do. I would take a lot of time to set up. I don't have the tools installed for it. So.
We don't need it.
But yes, so we're going to go get prepared to set up for Beat Saber. So I'm going to pause the recording. We'll come back. The next session, I guess, will be on YouTube.
See you guys there.
See you there. All right. Let's talk about Beat Saber.
Let's talk about Beat Saber.
Tell me about your experience with Beat Saber.
I mean, what's there to say? It's a rhythm game, but instead of, dancing on the dance pad or flicking the switches of the consoles, you're dancing along. You're waving your arms along to it, and it is just flawless from concept to execution. They nailed it.
Yeah.
It's not a complex game, but it doesn't need to be complex because it is a trying to achieve a very simple thing that they nailed.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's Beat Saber is one of my go-to favorites for VR, and I think it is for most people. It was my first VR game.
Yeah, it's solid. It is the Pac-Man of the VR systems,
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx I think came free for me because I bought the controllers and a few things when there was a deal on.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, so buy the Steam VR set and get Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, I bought the Steam controllers. I'm using the Valve Index controllers, and all of the towers are basically the Valve Index towers as well, which actually are the same towers that the HTC Vive comes with. They just have a different power cord for some reason. Yeah, weird.
Yeah. Oh.
So, yeah, you got to play a couple of different games from the original soundtracks, which are supposedly copyright free. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out when we get our DMC.
It just means that you can't monetize the video. But at this point, I won't turn on monetization.
Yeah,
I don't think we're monetizing anything yet.
We're
not at the 1,000 subscribers yet. So
hit that like button and subscribe, and remember.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, seriously, if you haven't subscribe. It helps us, and it lets us get into a position where we could actually, start doing this a lot more often.
Yeah, I really want to try Trover Saves the Universe in VR because...
Oh, that would be gross.
Remember, you just sit in a chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Because your character just sits in a chair.
That would be, it's made for that almost.
It is, and no motion sickness concern. But yeah, you basically have to watch the whole world in 3D from your chair and spin around. So I'll try it out. So, Beat Saber, what did you think of the graphics and the art and like the visuals?
I mean, so here's the thing. It was all very simple wireframe graphics, right? But there's a world of difference between looking at wireframe graphics on your screen and being in the wireframe graphics.
Yeah.
So like that alone, I was in the Matrix, guys. It was so cool. So yes, very simple graphics. But gosh, darn it. Again, world of difference when you're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a solid 7.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't do anything crazy, but everything they did was executed extremely well. And there's an inherent advantage to VR, I think, for graphics.
Yeah.
Because you're in the world, right? So immediately becomes easier to believe the world.
Yeah, like where's our VR visual novels?
Yeah.
But I think. Well, no, I think about.
Hop on Steam and you'll find some real quick.
Well, I'm sure you can. No, but I often think of like we haven't gotten VR Hollywood movies yet.
No. However, there is VR adult videos.
Well, yeah, we won't talk too much about that. But yeah, I mean, anything in VR, they're going to do whatever. But I want to see, like, imagine watching the fight scene in Avengers Endgame.
And you're like, and you can hop between, you're like, oh, I want to do this from the viewpoint of Captain America.
Sure.
Or,
yeah.
oh, let's do it from the viewpoint of Black Widow or the Hulk or a million
Where
things.
you can, like, physically move around in the space and watch it from different vantage points. And I get CG would have to be heavily used for that, potentially.
100%.
But I just think, like, again, VR is one of those spaces where headsets are expensive, kits are expensive. Like the HTC Vive Pro 2, when I bought it, that plus the base stations that you need, plus the controllers, plus, you're spending like $2,000. And then you also need a gaming PC capable of running a 5K display. So it's not a quick and easy thing to get into. The Quest 2 brought in kind of accessible for like $200 or $300. You could get a Quest 2. And now the Meta headset, the 3 or whatever, the Quest Pro 3 or whatnot.
Oh, you're a popular boy.
I don't know who's at the door. Let's see who's at the door. But the Quest Pro 3.
Apparently Resident Evil 7 is available as a VR game.
Oh, yeah, that would be really cool. But yeah, I just think like these movies where you could see the different perspectives would be cool. Interactive stories, even when you're just like, if you're like attending college and, there's an explosion that's happening outside that you're in a 3D space, you kind of like interact with things and characters. And I don't know, I think there's a huge potential in the VR market. And I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, talking about the metaverse and all these other things, that never really took off.
No.
And it didn't take off because VR is it's a hard sell. And I think that there is so much potential there. But to top it off with things you just can't look cool doing, and also the fact that like the new Quest Pro 3 headset or whatever is like, I think it's like $600 or $700 American. So it's made it a little difficult to get into the space. Music and audio. This was a music audio game.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the audio and the music and how it was presented to you?
Well, it's all soundtrack stuff, right? So it's not creating a moment. It's not evocative. It's not like you crested the mountaintop and the music swells, right? It was just, here's track number 7.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, a game like this lives or dies by its music and the way the rhythm game matches to the music. And it was bang on. Like they executed very tight, very seamlessly. It was really well done. So, and they have a lot, like there was a Lady Gaga track and all sorts of stuff that we didn't do because, copyright. But there was some really cool stuff on the non-copyright stuff that felt good and was fun.
Yeah. And
really hit that, oh, this is a rhythm game. This is like a do-do-do-do-do. Like, yes. So I had a blast with it. So yeah, just for the way it integrated and the way it had the, and I watched you play an expert, and like the jump up in complexity was mind blowing.
Yeah, and like my wife always bugs me, and like I don't have great musical rhythm. But one of the things I really appreciate about the game is that the blocks are all positioned based on some piece of that musical notes. So whether it's the bass track or some of the beats or whatever it is, they're all kind of placed according to the beat of the music, the rhythm of the music.
Yeah. Like,
so,
you know when the beat's going to happen and there's going to be a block. You don't necessarily know what the block's going to be, but you know the block's coming.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the scaling from easy, normal, hard, expert, and then expert plus. At 42 years old, I don't think I could beat it on expert plus ever. You have to basically it's pattern recognition, right?
Yeah, so, pattern, and you would have to do this again and again and again.
Yeah, it's practice for sure.
Mode, I'm sure, where you can play these 30 seconds, just these 30 seconds.
Yeah, you can actually change the speed, so you could play it half speed, and you could learn the pattern and then speed it up slowly. So there's different ways to kind of get used to it. I would never be a competitive Beat Saber player, but I can beat almost every song on hard with an A+ or an A. But expert is tough. I have not. I think there's 1 or 2 songs I've beat on expert. But that Camellia song, I really love that one that I played. And if you want to see our playthrough, check it out on YouTube because I'll be posting that video at the same time as this is released.
It should be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, so you can listen to half the podcast or the whole podcast, and then you can jump on and watch the video.
Yeah, and have a blast with that. I know I did.
So music and audio, what rating would you give it?
I'm going to give that a 7. Again, okay, cool. My only issue with Beat Saber is that it excelled, and I'm not trying to take anything away from it. There were areas where there was they could have gone above and beyond in certain areas.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and that's not a blow against them. They made a demo game. This 100% was just a demo VR.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, totally.
And they nailed it. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, this is the first game I think most people get introduced to VR with, to be honest.
Yeah, God, it's old too. It's one of the first games available on VR.
And it's still getting new tracks, it's still getting new updates because it's timeless. Like you said, the graphics are kind of standard, but it is timeless in the sense that it doesn't have to be better than what it is. They just need to keep adding music and tracks and they keep doing that, which is great. I love to see the longevity, and I hope it doesn't go the path of the Guitar Heroes.
Yeah.
And the rock bands.
Though that being said, once they kind of nail the interface a little bit tighter, a Guitar Hero or a drum hero
guitar playing.
Yeah,
they would have to get really good motion tracking for the hands, or have a controller that's also a guitar. So I don't know. There's lots of cool things, and you could learn guitar in VR. Yeah. Imagine learning piano in VR. There's so many cool things and applications.
Oh, absolutely.
For this, right? So gameplay.
Well, I mean, it was very simple, but it nailed it. So that's a 9.
Cool. And did you have fun?
Oh, I had so much fun.
Yeah. What would you rank it?
I'm gonna give that a 10. I was laughing. I was boogieing. I was having a blast.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm at a 10 out of 10. I'm at a 10 out of 10 for fun for this as well. For
Absolutely.
Myself. Yeah.
It was fun. Am I going to play it obsessively? No, but if someone's like, hey man, you want to do a couple rounds of Beat Saber? I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Fault or Catapult?
Catapult.
I agree.
Catapult. 100% Catapult.
I agree.
I mean, if you have a VR rig, get Beat Saber, right?
Yeah. Or if you're going to get a VR rig, get Beat Saber first.
Yeah.
It's a great introduction, and it really...
Oh, yeah. And it really kind of helps put you in the mindset you kind of need to be in to use VR. Because you suddenly feel I have all of this limitless space, and no, you don't. you have the space of the room.
Well, with the Meta headsets, and someday I'll probably have 2 just for fun. Not this year, maybe next year. But there's a game called Arizona Sunshine, which is a zombie survival game where you shoot and you have guns and you have to change ammo clips, and it is a heck of a lot of fun. And the accuracy of the guns is very much hand-eye coordination, like it would be with a real gun. And when you're going through a dark mine shaft filled with zombies, it is actually terrifying.
Oh, I believe.
The other game that eventually I'll get you to play is Phasmophobia. in VR. I know it's creepy when you get caught by the ghoul and it like puts your hand, it like wraps its hands around from behind you and like you hear it breathing in your ears
and then the crack of the neck.
Oh god, yeah, it's so gross. But anyway, I digress. I digress. So Half-Life Alyx was the other game that I introduced you to. Tell me about your experience with Half-Life Alyx.
Oh, it was gorgeous. I mean, the first thing I did was played with the radio, and then I tried to throw cans at a camera.
Yep.
Like there were things, and Valve is really good at polish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in this game, what was odd is that almost worked against them, because I could pick up the can, and I could throw the can, and I could write on the window, and then I went to write on a glass jar, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? So like there were moments where it was like, oh.
Yeah, the collision boxes in 3D engines are tough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
When I've been working with Unity, most of the default collision boxes are squares or rectangles.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to have a collision box for inking on a window, but it's a lot harder on a cylindrical jar or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they couldn't do it. It's a lot harder than the physics calculations for a cylinder would be much more challenging. And again, they built this kind of as a demo.
Yeah, exactly. It was a tech demo
VR.
to sell VR.
It was to sell VR headsets.
Yeah. And it was good.
Yeah.
I had fun. And then again, like when you're in that world and you see one of those striders just like walk above you, it's just, you get a sudden sense of scale.
Yeah. Yeah, and you play as Alyx, and you're kind of a rebel, part of a rebellion against the Citadel.
A resistance.
The resistance. And you're the resistance against the evil empire. I mean, the Citadel. And yeah, so you're basically, you get a message from your father. Then I think he gets like kidnapped, and then you have to try to save him. You have to try to go up against the Citadel. And so it's a really cool story.
Everyone gets kidnapped in the Half-Life series.
Yeah, it's a pretty common trope for Half-Life.
Yeah.
But Half-Life's been cool, man. I've been playing Half-Life since Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2.
Like, I still remember hopping on that train going, welcome to the Black Mesa Research Facility, and just having my mind blown.
Welcome to the Black Mesa Research Facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
This tram has been provided for researchers and employees.
Yeah, researchers and employees only. Yeah.
And you're just like, how cool.
Monorail.
Nobody really, at that point in time, first-person shooters were Quake, were Doom, were Duke Nukem, right?
Yeah, they were just like no story, just push and blow stuff up, and demons are thrown at you.
And you were shooting in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah,
right. You were in game, ready to go.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2, you were being told a story. It was a movie. It was so cool.
Yeah, and I really appreciate.
Or Half-Life, sorry.
I really love it with Half-Life how it was a shooter second and a story first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I really love that, and I really. I don't know. I find it a little bit sad that Steam and Valve has so much money and so much access to capital, and they're not really developing games anymore. And I get it. You can lose a lot of money developing games. But I think that for me, Valve represents what gamers are. I think it was started by gamers. I mean, for gamers.
If I recall correctly, Gabe Newell worked for Microsoft before he moved on to Valve, but I could be very wrong there. I know Gabe dropped out of Harvard.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that on Reddit they call him our savior.
Yeah, the patron saint of PC gaming.
Patron saint, yeah. So I think he's done a great job. His net worth is $9.5 billion US, so he's doing all right.
He's doing okay.
62 years old. But yeah, he
never has to work again.
Yeah, he's kind of kept Steam a really strong distribution platform. Half-Life Alyx was the last big game they really did to sell their headsets and things like that. Yeah. But he did work at Microsoft as a programmer for 13 years. And then he decided to kind of bump out and move into other things. So,
yeah.
I think that Valve needs to start developing more games. Because they have the money. They have the production studios.
What they could do is they're in a very unique position here where they can take 10, 15... They're in no rush. They can make a game and only release it when they're ready to release it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that is a very privileged position they're in. However, I do have some qualms with Valve, especially in their Counter-Strike 2. This is actually a fairly big issue, but all their skins, like weapon skins,
the
and all
skin
that.
stores and stuff. That
Skin
really,
stores, gambling, skin sites, things like that. It's problematic, and Valve's not really interested in policing it for a few reasons, and the biggest reason is they make bank off of it.
I mean, they've been suing and shutting down skin trading sites and stuff. It's just there's so many of them.
They have been, but it's only when that country makes a law against it.
Yeah.
And I get that, right? Like it's hard to enforce laws where there are no laws.
China made a law against it.
Yeah, and China and Valve immediately moved on. So as soon as there's a law against it, Valve engages with it.
Yeah.
But I think that there's more that they could have done.
I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed when Valve opened up their storefront to the adult games. Because one of the things I really appreciated about Valve for a long time was that their stance on that was, we don't want to be in the adult gaming market. We want to stick with the gamer market and be family safe and have family share and all these things. I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna have adult games that have family share. You don't want that. That's weird. But I feel like that was a step too far. But there was a market for it, and if Valve didn't do it, then somebody else would have opened up another, like an adult-only version of Steam that would have been a competitor to Steam. And that would be really bad, because the adult industry, there's so much money in that could give whatever competitor rises up the chance to actually become a distribution platform to rival Steam.
Yeah, exactly. They would take the money from the adult games and turn that into...
So I blame all the horny people.
Dang it.
Yeah,
Stop being so
horny. Just
anyway.
Stop it. So, graphics and art, Half-Life Alyx.
Well, see, and this is interesting because it was all very beautiful, and the stuff that you could interact with was really cool, but a lot of it felt like just a painting.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't really interact with a lot of it. But God, it was good looking. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah, they went with really high quality textures, but they made interesting choices about what you could and couldn't interact with. And I mean, it is a demo on rails, basically.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that kind of takes away from it a bit, but yeah, I think that's fair.
And there were some moments where they have physics, but for example, like Half-Life, a Valve puzzle is all physics, right? But I specifically remember I'm walking across these wooden boards between buildings, and there's a piece of like fabric on top of it. And I know it's windy, and I know there's movement, but the fabric didn't move at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean...
Like, we have those physics.
Yeah, if you're going to take the time to animate the birds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's... How far into realism do you go? Because...
Yeah, well, exactly, because I was in the world, right?
Like, imagine...
Like, I wouldn't have given a two poops if it had been, like, again, if I was just on my screen with my mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. But imagine, like, 5 years from now.
Oh, God.
We get our third, fourth generation headsets, VR headsets.
Yep.
Unreal Engine, whatever, 5, 6.
We're on 6 now.
Where we have such realistic computer graphics that it's, almost difficult to discern from reality.
Yeah, almost undiscernible, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, the game is like a hyper-stylized, cartoonish.
Yeah, which would be cool, too.
But,
like, there's so many things you could do. I mean, I'm really excited for that, and I think we're headed great places. So, music and audio, did you notice anything about the game when it came to music?
Not really.
It's because there wasn't any.
Oh.
Because you're in a real kind of realistic world, so the only music would play if you turned the radio on, for example.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's trying to give you that fully immersive environment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was an interesting choice. Brave. What I really noticed, though, was the sound cues.
Yeah.
Like, I noticed sound.
Yeah.
And that was, like, I heard the roaches scuttering across the floor. I could feel it.
Yeah.
It was so well done in that regard. So, I'm going to give that another 7.5.
I like that. Yeah, and I agree with that. The sound quality for the immersion is very important in VR.
Yeah.
When you're throwing pots, and as soon as they hit the wall, they shatter and they break, right?
Yeah, they did.
They did, and it's a lot of fun. And it just that little added audio engineering really does.
I threw a coffee
a lot.
cup.
Yeah. I saw you looking in the coffee cup, and you can see it's all stained from the coffee and stuff. Great texturing.
Great texture. They really put the work in.
So gameplay, what did you think about the
Well,
gameplay?
it was really cool. I didn't get very far in it, did
Mm.
I? But what I did get to do was really neat. And it must have been the controller because I had to use my left hand for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know which controllers you were using. I've got 2 pairs.
Mm.
It should have worked, but I find the grip sensitivity is weird sometimes. Yeah.
And early days, this was a tech demo for an older piece of hardware, right? So I'm willing to give it some grace on that. And my left hand worked fine. Yeah.
Yep.
So gameplay, just how cool and new it was, it's gonna get an 8 from me, dog.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like the gameplay is kind of fun, and especially for what it is, being like a high-end, high-fidelity VR game. It's just a lot of fun to play in that world.
It was a lot of fun.
Although I have to say, the disembodied hands.
Yeah, when you're looking, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, I can see why they made that decision, but I prefer in VR chat, for example, you have full body tracking capability. And you have the full avatar with arms and legs and everything's attached, so you don't feel disembodied. And I feel like that really adds to the immersion as well. Yeah. So, did you have fun? Yeah.
Not as much fun as I had in Beat Saber, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rank that down to an 8.5.
And I think that's fair. Beat Saber is pretty fun.
Beat Saber's, and the thing is, Half-Life Alyx, I was on rails. It was a story, and there's moments where it's like, oh, where do I go, or what's it? Beat Saber is like, drop in, here we go, it's happening. It's happening right now.
If you ever want to do a Beat Saber, I've got the Quest 2.
Oh yeah,
and it's multiplayer,
oh,
cross-platform. Yeah. All right, so that puts Half-Life Alyx at a solid 7.9. Would you throw it in the vault or launch it out of the catapult?
Definitely in the catapult.
Cool. Well, it was your turn to play a good game.
It was, and I got to play 2.
And I really wanted you to experience VR in the fullest. And you know what? There are really bad games for VR.
Oh, I believe it.
But
I know there's one for Warhammer called Bolt Sister or something.
Yeah.
And you play one of the Sisters of Battle.
Oh, cool.
It's not so good.
Well, I have a number of VR titles.
Battle Sisters. Sorry.
If I go into my VR titles and I go, let's go filter by VR. So there's Half-Life Alyx, Beat Saber, Trover Saves the Universe, Into the Radius VR, which I tried a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a hard game, so I'm not really enjoying it that much. I have War of Wizards, which is kind of it's annoying because it's mostly kids playing it, 12 to 15. But it's kind of fun. It's a MOBA game, so you use a wand and you cast spells and it sends troops over to the other side and different spells to attack the other person. It's kind of Yu-Gi-Oh style battle. Whoever loses the most hit points, kind of a tower defense game.
Okay.
It's a MOBA. Your Pulsar Lost Colony is a space game.
We played that.
We played that. That is available in VR, by the way. So that's a lot of fun. Master Bladesmith, which I bought. I haven't tried yet. It's about forging your own weapons and testing them. So I'll play that at some point.
Yeah.
VR Chat, which is a highly problematic game, but a lot of fun. It's hard to find a place to play it where people aren't just being ridiculous.
I was about to say VR Chat's more of a service.
No, it has, you can play VR Among Us in VR Chat. You can play, mini golf in VR Chat. There's a ton of worlds that are actual games within the game. But then there's people running around going, oh, yeah, and stupid things yeah. And they're mostly 12-year-olds and kids and people running around swearing and being racist. And there's not a lot of moderation going on in VR Chat. There is some, but not a lot. And it's an experience, something you got to experience. Deep States VR is just kind of like a spatial game. Lots of cool places to just kind of go and relax.
Looks neat, actually. Very gorgeous.
It's fun. You can watch universe things happening. Subnautica works in VR, although I can't get it to work. I've tried it. It just bugs out.
Interesting.
Super Hot VR is another one I'd like you to try sometime. It's very cool concept.
I've played Super Hot.
It's so cool. In VR?
Not in VR.
In VR, you because the idea with Super Hot is that the game only moves forward in time as you move.
Yeah.
So every time you move your hand, the game moves forward a little bit in time. And you have to avoid bullets and throw
it's
stuff.
Very cool.
It's cool. Space Pirate Trainer is like a arcade shooter that's in 3D. It's very like Space Invader-y, but in 3D and in VR, and that's cool. Space Team VR is kind of cool. It's another space. You're on a ship. And I got many, many more. Arizona Sunshine is one of my favorites, and I hope that you can play it someday. So, anything else you want to add after delving into the world of VR?
You know what? When VR first hit the shelves, I went, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. I'm excited about it. Like, it's got a lot of cool stuff, and the possibilities are really out there. But like, first gen, second gen, no. But I don't know. We're in what, third gen now?
This would be like third gen. I kind of look at like the Quest 3 or the Meta Quest 3 or whatever it is, as being Gen 3.
Okay.
Yeah. HTC Vive hasn't. I don't think they've released their Gen 3 headsets yet. Valve hasn't even released their Gen 2 headset yet. Their Gen 2 will be caught up with Gen 3, so they'll call it their Gen 3 headset.
Yeah.
But there's been that on and again, off again with Valve. Will they, won't they release another Index headset? And at some point they're going to have to, because we want, wireless, we want better fidelity, we want higher resolutions, higher refresh rates. Mine does 120 hertz, 5K. But the 3090 can actually struggle to do that. And so I'm looking forward to the day when we have, double the power or triple the power of the 3090 so that we can run a 5K headset with no problems at 120 hertz. So
boom.
Boom.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a blast. Thank you very much for sharing that experience with me.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did. And I guess that's all from us today.
That's it.
Yeah, so tune in to the podcast. We'll be posting the footage of our shenanigans on YouTube as well.
Yeah, Basement Faults and Catapults on YouTube.
Yeah, and as always,
good luck.
Have fun.
Don't die.
And that's our time, and the end of our episode.
But don't feel sad it's over. Be glad it happened. From the two of us in the basement, thanks for tuning in.
Join us next time.
And feel free to send us any feedback on our socials or send us a direct email at bfcpcontact@gmail.com.
And if you're really interested in what we're doing, join us on Patreon, where we will have loads of behind-the-scenes stuff and uncut takes as more episodes are released. Patreon.com/basements, faults, and catapults.
We're always excited to hear from you because we love engagement. We look forward to our next catapult launch and hope you can join us for the ensuing chaos.
Good luck.
See you next time.
No, I had a lot of fun.
I want to say that more sinister. I want to be like, don't die.
Yeah, maybe next time, but I'll be sinister on the good luck.
Good luck. Don't die.
Die.